Most men live small, not because they lack potential, but because they refuse to kill what keeps them weak. Comfort over pressure, permission over power, and then they wonder why the world forgets them. Machiavelli warned, mercy without power is suicide. Harmless men aren't good. They're disposable. This is the law you were never taught. Strength doesn't arrive in gifts. It is carved by your own hand, and carving demands cuts. The first cut is always the deepest. You must kill the weaker version of yourself, the one that hesitates, the one that apologizes before speaking, the one that checks the room for approval before acting. That man is a servant, not a ruler, and until you bury him, you will never rise. Look around you. The world is filled with men who are brilliant but forgotten, talented but invisible, skilled but powerless. Why? Because they never made the cut. They carried their weakness like a loyal dog, hoping it would one day defend them. But weakness defends nothing. It devours. Your hesitation is the open door through which others steal what could have been yours. Your need to be liked is the leash around your neck. Your addiction to comfort is the bed you will be buried in. This video is not for the harmless. It is not for those who still want to be liked. It is for those ready to be feared by their former self. Because once you kill weakness, the ruler inside awakens. From here forward, every rule will cut deeper. Not motivational sugar, but steel, forged into 10 ruthless laws. These laws will not make you safe, they will make you dangerous. Not reckless, dangerous. The kind of man who cannot be ignored, cannot be manipulated, cannot be broken. By the end of this journey, you will not be the same. You will be heavier, colder, sharper. You will walk into rooms and bend them without words. Not because people like you, but because they cannot afford to disregard you. So here is the first oath. Speak it, write it, burn it into memory. The weak man in me dies today. Say it without hesitation. Say it without apology. Say it as if the man you are about to bury can still hear you. Because once this oath is spoken, there is no going back. The weaker version of you is already trembling. Kill him now, or carry him forever. And if you carry him, know this. Every day, he will eat your strength, your chances, your life. Until one day you wake up and realize you never truly lived. But if you kill him, if you make the first cut, the path opens, and 10 ruthless laws will guide you toward the strongest version of yourself. The first cut is weakness. The second is distraction. And that is where we go next. Weak men are not always weak because they lack strength. Most are weak because they bleed out their power, drop by drop, into distractions, endless scrolling, cheap entertainment, arguing with ghosts on the internet, chasing women who don't respect them, impressing people who will not remember their name. This is how brilliance dies, not in one dramatic blow, but in thousands of wasted hours, and wasted hours become wasted years. Understand this. Your attention is your empire. Every glance, every scroll, every careless minute is a brick removed from your fortress wall. You wonder why you feel exposed? Because you are. Machiavelli never told rulers to do everything. He told them to do the one thing that secures the rest. That is the essence of cold focus. Cold focus is not excitement. It is not a surge of motivation. It is not the rush you feel when you start something new. It is colder, sharper, merciless. It means cutting away everything that does not serve the mission, not negotiating with distractions, not promising yourself moderation, but cutting them as if they were traitors. Focus is a blade. Every time you let your attention wander, you dull the edge. Every time you protect it, you sharpen it. Picture a falcon circling high above the field. It does not chase every rustle in the grass. It waits. It observes. And when the prey reveals itself, the strike is final. That is how you must guard your attention. Cold focus is also emotional detachment. The insult thrown at you, irrelevant. The temptation glittering in front of you, irrelevant. The urge to defend, to explain, to prove yourself, irrelevant. Distraction is not only noise from the outside, it is also the noise inside your head, the endless chatter, the self-doubt, the imagined arguments. You do not negotiate with that noise. You silence it by moving forward anyway. Every man has 24 hours. The difference between rulers and servants is not luck, not intelligence, not talent. It is where those hours are spent. Do you pour them into 100 meaningless tasks? Or do you carve them into one strike that changes everything? Cold focus means you are ruthless with your time. You say no more than you say yes. You cut invitations, obligations, distractions, like a general cutting dead weight from his army. Yes, people will call you harsh. Yes, they will call you obsessed. Yes, they will call you selfish. But selfishness in the service of your mission is not weakness, it is survival. Every hour wasted is a piece of your empire burned before it was ever built. Every hour protected is a stone laid in the foundation of your fortress. So here is your rule. Treat your attention like treasure. Guard it as if every minute were gold. Because it is. This is your second oath. Declare it now. My focus is untouchable. Write it, say it, own it. Because if you cannot protect your attention, you cannot protect your future. And when your focus becomes cold, ruthless, merciless, unmoved, you will notice something terrifying. You cannot be distracted. You cannot be manipulated. You cannot be stopped. Cold focus is not about doing more. It is about cutting everything until only the mission remains. And when that happens, you stop chasing noise. You create gravity. Power does not begin with muscle. It begins with mastery of the invisible war, the one inside your chest. Weak men are ruled by their emotions. They explode in anger. They drown in sadness. They tremble in fear. They beg in desperation. And the world laughs as it chains them with their own reactions. Understand this. If others can trigger your emotions, they own you. If they can make you rage, they can make you reckless. If they can make you crave, they can make you crawl. If they can make you fear, they can chain your decisions. Machiavelli warned rulers, never reveal chaos within, even when chaos surrounds. Because the man who cannot command himself will never command anyone else. This is why mastery of emotion is not optional, it is law. But hear this clearly, mastery is not numbness. It does not mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything but control when, where, and how it is expressed. A sword without a hand is wild. A sword in the hand of a master is unstoppable. So too with anger, fear, and pain. Anger, left wild, destroys you. Anger, weaponized, becomes discipline. Fear, left wild, paralyzes you. Fear, weaponized, becomes preparation. Pain, left wild, breaks you. Pain, weaponized, becomes wisdom. This is how you must think. You are not a slave to emotion. You are its commander. Picture two men. One is loud. He screams, rages, reveals his wounds to everyone. The other is silent, still. His eyes unreadable, his body unmoved. Which one terrifies you more? Always the second, because mystery is more dangerous than noise. The man who cannot be read cannot be predicted. The man who cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. This is true mastery. When betrayal comes, you study before you strike. When opportunity arrives, you wait for the perfect moment. When chaos swallows others, you remain calm as stone. Do you see the power? The loud man exhausts himself. The calm man drains everyone else. So here is your protocol. Name the emotion. The moment you label it, it loses its spell. Decide its purpose. Ask, does this fuel my mission or sabotage it? Redirect it. Anger to training, fear to planning, pain to memory. Show nothing. Let your enemies guess while you sharpen in silence. This is not repression. This is alchemy, turning raw storms into steel. And this is your third oath. I rule over emotion. Write it, say it, etch it like iron. Because until you command your storms, you will be tossed like a ship without anchor. But once you master them, The storms no longer frighten you, they frighten everyone else. The man who controls himself controls the room. The man who controls the room controls the future. So the choice is clear: rule yourself or be ruled forever. Every man wants strength, every man dreams of power, but most men will never hold it because they cannot enforce discipline on themselves. They want the crown without the scars. They want the throne without the blood. They want greatness, but they live as slaves to comfort, sleeping late, eating garbage, scrolling endlessly, avoiding the work that would forge them into something greater. This is why mediocrity rules the lives of so many, not because they are weak in potential, but because they are weak in discipline. Machiavelli wrote that rulers who cannot command their armies will lose their kingdoms. Your army is not out there, it is in here. Your body, your mind, your habits, your daily choices. If you do not command them, they will betray you. And when they betray you, laziness conquers, distraction conquers, weakness conquers. Understand this. Motivation is a child's toy. It comes when it wants. It leaves when you need it most. But discipline is a weapon. You do not act because you feel like it. You act because it must be done. You train when you are tired. You focus when you are bored. You execute even when your emotions resist. This is not punishment, this is power. Discipline is the blade that cuts you free from mediocrity. Without it, your potential rots. With it, you rise above 99% of men. Discipline is also ruthless. It demands sacrifice. It demands you cut pleasures that soften you. It demands you choose long-term power over short-term comfort. The weak see sacrifice as pain. The strong see sacrifice as sharpening steel. Picture two men. One indulges in every temptation: sleep, food, distraction. He laughs now but crumbles when life strikes. The other sacrifices daily: comfort, distraction, indulgence. He appears cold, but when challenges come, he is unbreakable. Which man do you want to be? Because only one survives. Discipline is not about intensity. It is about consistency. It is the bricklayer, not the fireworks. Every day you obey it, another stone is added to your fortress. Every day you betray it, another crack forms in your foundation. So build with stone, not sparks. Day by day, rule by rule, command by command. This is how legends are carved, through ordinary days, executed with extraordinary consistency. And this is your fourth oath. Discipline is my weapon. Write it, say it, live it. Because once discipline rules your life, weakness has nowhere left to live. The ruthless do not ask for an easier life. They demand a stronger self, and discipline is how you build him. Attachment is the invisible chain. It does not rattle like iron, but it holds tighter than steel. Weak men cling. They cling to people who betray them. They cling to habits that rot them. They cling to approval, to comfort, to illusions. And they call this loyalty or love or stability. But attachment is not stability, it is slavery. Machiavelli warned rulers never to depend fully on others, because dependency is the weapon enemies will always use first. The same is true for you. If someone can destroy your peace by leaving, you are chained. If someone can control your mind by dangling approval, you are chained. If someone can shake your identity with silence, you are chained. And a chained man cannot rise. Detachment is not about feeling nothing. It is about controlling everything. It is the power to love without begging, to give without needing, to walk away without fear. It is not coldness, it is clarity. Because when you are attached, you lie to yourself. You excuse weakness. You justify disrespect. You blind yourself to red flags because you fear loss more than you value truth. But when you are detached, you see. You see people as they are, not as you hope they will be. You see habits for what they are, chains, not comforts. You see yourself as complete, even when standing alone. Think of two men. One clings to a toxic relationship. He tolerates betrayal, manipulation, disrespect. because he fears being alone. The other loves, but he is not enslaved. He stays because he chooses, not because he needs. And if betrayal comes, he can walk away in silence, leaving nothing for the other to hold. Which man is stronger? Always the second, because the detached man cannot be bribed, baited, or broken. Enemies cannot provoke him. Temptations cannot enslave him. Loss cannot cripple him. He is free, and freedom is power. Detachment also sharpens vision. When you do not fear loss, you stop lying to yourself. You stop inventing excuses for others. You stop wasting time on people and habits that do not serve your mission. Detachment strips the fog away, leaving only truth. And with truth comes clarity. And with clarity comes power. This is your fifth oath. Nothing owns me. Say it until it becomes real. Write it until it feels carved in stone. Because the day nothing owns you, the world loses its grip on you. Most men live chained. You will live free. And in that freedom, you will terrify those who cannot control you. Detach not to escape life, but to own it. Detach not to avoid love, but to see love clearly. Detach not to fear loss, but to rise beyond it. This is the paradox of power. Only when you can walk away from everything can you finally command anything. Weak men rush. They lunge at every opportunity, desperate to prove themselves, terrified of missing out, and in their haste, they destroy themselves. Strong men wait, because they understand a truth most will never grasp. Time is a weapon. Patience is sharper than any blade. It is slower than fire, but more devastating than flame. The glacier moves inches and crushes mountains. The tide waits, then floods and lifts ships that muscle alone could never move. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors those who prepare, not those who rush. He knew power is not about speed, it is about precision. The predator does not sprint after every noise in the grass. It waits, it observes, it lets the prey expose itself. And when the strike comes, it is one blow, final, irreversible. This is how you must live. Most men waste their strength swinging wildly, announcing every move, chasing every shadow. But the man who waits terrifies them, because silence unsettles, because stillness creates doubt, because patience makes the other man reveal his weakness first. Impatience exposes you. It makes you loud, reckless, predictable. Patience hides you. It makes you invisible until the exact moment you choose to appear. Patience is not laziness. It is not passivity. It is preparation under camouflage. While the impatient run in circles, you sharpen your blade in silence. While they shout their intentions, you conceal yours. While they reveal their hunger, you build your strategy. And when the moment comes, you act once, and the outcome is decided. Think of two men. One rushes to prove himself. He speaks too soon, reveals too much, acts without calculation. The other waits, calm, steady, unreadable. When the time is right, he acts once and wins completely. Which man do you fear more? Always the second. Patience is also protection. Your enemies will provoke you, insult you, tempt you, trying to make you move before you are ready. If you bite, you lose. If you wait, they expose themselves. And when they expose themselves, you win. Patience creates gravity. The man who does not react immediately forces others to reveal their weakness. His silence makes them speak more. His stillness makes them twitch. His delay makes them unravel. This is your sixth oath. My patience is my weapon. Write it, repeat it, own it. Because the man who controls time controls power. The man who rushes wastes his life. The man who waits, prepares, and strikes at the perfect moment becomes inevitable. So do not waste your fire on meaningless battles. Do not scatter your energy on premature strikes. Do not fear waiting. Because every moment you wait in silence, you grow sharper. And every second your enemies waste in noise, they grow weaker. The predator does not chase. He waits. And when he moves, the world realizes too late that the outcome was already decided. Most men destroy themselves with their own tongues. They reveal their plans, their fears, their insecurities, all for a few seconds of attention. And in those careless words, they give away their power. Silence is the opposite. Silence is not emptiness. It is a fortress. It is a weapon sharper than steel. Machiavelli taught rulers never to reveal their true intentions, because once your enemy knows your plan, he can counter it. But if he does not know, he must guess. And in guessing, he becomes weak. Weak men cannot endure silence. They feel invisible, so they over-explain. They feel insecure, so they justify. They feel desperate, so they fill the air with noise. But the strong man speaks little. He listens. He observes. And when he finally speaks, every word lands like a hammer. Think of two men in conflict. One shouts, rages, fills the room with noise. The other remains silent, eyes calm, presence unshaken. Which man feels stronger? Always the silent one, because silence is pressure. It forces others to reveal themselves. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them weak. And silence does more than conceal. It creates mystery, and mystery creates fear. When people cannot read you, they project their own insecurities onto you. They imagine your strength, your strategy, your secrets, and their imagination will always be darker than anything you could have said. This is why silence is not just absence, it is power. But silence is not only about words, it is also about reactions. When insulted, you do not rise. When provoked, you do not bite. When pressured, you do not reveal. You remain still, unmoved, unreadable, and that terrifies people more than any outburst ever could. Silence also makes your presence heavy. When you enter a room and say little, people notice. They wait. They wonder. They respect. Because the man who does not beg for attention commands it without asking. This is your seventh oath. My silence is my power. Say it like an oath. Write it like prophecy. Because once you master silence, your presence alone becomes a weapon. Silence is not weakness. It is control. It is the refusal to donate your strategy to the air. It is the art of making others move first. Kings do not explain themselves. Predators do not announce the hunt. And the strongest version of you does not waste his breath. He speaks only when it is final, only when it is necessary, only when it strikes like a blade. The weak fill the air with noise. The strong bend the air with silence. And silence is the language of power. Money is useful. Status is useful. Strength is useful. But none of these are the true foundation of power. The real currencies are fear and respect. Machiavelli wrote it plainly. It is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Because love fades. Love is conditional. Love bends with convenience. But fear is primal. It endures. Yet fear alone is unstable. Fear without respect becomes rebellion. Respect without fear becomes fragility. But together, when fear enforces boundaries and respect ensures stability, you become untouchable. 1. Weak men chase approval. Weak men spend their lives trying to be liked. They soften their edges, they bend, they beg, they disguise themselves as harmless. And in the end, they win neither fear nor respect. They are tolerated, used, and forgotten. You cannot afford this fate. 2. The nature of fear. Fear is not about cruelty. It is not rage. It is not tantrums. It is not violence without purpose. Fear is psychological dominance. It is the quiet knowledge others have. If I cross him, I will regret it. Think of the lion. The lion does not roar constantly. It does not lunge at every threat. It simply exists, and its presence alone terrifies everything around it. That is what you must become. Not loud, not desperate. A presence that radiates danger. 3. The nature of respect. But fear without respect is chaos. Respect balances fear. Respect is earned through discipline, control, intelligence. People may not like you, but they cannot deny you. They respect your restraint, your clarity, your strength. They respect that when you speak, it is final. They respect that when you move with precision. Fear says, don't cross him. Respect says, follow him. Together, they form unshakable authority. 4. How to cultivate both. To cultivate fear, you must be willing to act when disrespected, not in anger, never in rage, but in precision. You cut off traitors without warning. You enforce boundaries without apology. You let betrayal meet consequences swift enough that others remember. To cultivate respect, you must embody discipline. You must control yourself when others lose control. You must be calm when others are loud. You must deliver results while others make excuses. Fear comes from ruthlessness. Respect comes from mastery. Together, they create the aura of the untouchable. 5. Fear and respect in daily life. At work, the man who begs for approval is ignored. The man who sets boundaries, who holds composure, who refuses disrespect, he commands both fear and respect. In relationships, the clingy man is taken for granted, but the man who is detached, disciplined, who can walk away in silence, he is both feared and respected. In competition, the loud one is forgotten. The silent one who delivers results is remembered. This balance is not arrogance, it is presence. The aura that says, test me if you dare. This is your 8th oath. I command fear and respect. Say it like a law, write it like prophecy, because once you carry both, you stop living as a man, you start living as a legend. Fear enforces your boundaries, respect cements your influence. Together, they guard your throne, and when the world looks at you, they will not see someone to test, they will see someone they cannot afford to betray. Most men vanish. They are born, they drift, they die, and within a generation no one speaks their name. They leave no echo, no imprint, no weight. Why? Because they lived small. They lived for comfort, for distraction, for fleeting pleasures. They built nothing that could endure, and so they disappeared as if they had never lived at all. 1. What legacy really means. Legacy is not shallow fame. It is not applause. It is not being liked by the masses. Legacy is weight. It is the mark you leave on reality itself. It is the story that continues when your voice is silent. It is the shadow that lingers when your body is dust. Machiavelli knew this truth. He did not write to be loved in his lifetime. He wrote to be remembered forever. Centuries later, his name still commands curiosity, fear, and respect. That is legacy. 2. The weak man versus the strong man. The weak man seeks comfort. The strong man seeks eternity. The weak man dies twice. First, when his body fails. Second, when his name is spoken for the last time. The strong man dies only once, because his name, his deeds, his presence outlast his flesh. This is the choice before you. Do you want to be dust, or do you want to be stone? 3. How legacy is built. Legacy is not one grand act. It is not a single moment of brilliance. It is forged daily, ruthlessly, relentlessly. Every act of discipline, every sacrifice, every battle against weakness, every cut of distraction, each becomes another stone in your monument. Legacy demands clarity. You must live not just for today, but for tomorrow's memory. Every choice must answer, will this decision echo when I am gone? If the answer is no, it is worthless. 4. Pain as the architect of legacy. Weak men run from pain. Strong men turn pain into stone. Every scar tells a story. Every rejection adds weight. Every betrayal becomes a foundation. Comfort dies quickly, but pain endures. And when you build with pain, your legacy cannot be erased. History does not remember men for their easy days. It remembers what they built through sacrifice, through hardship, through endurance. Pain writes permanence. 5. The ruthlessness of legacy. You cannot build legacy while clinging to weakness. You cannot build it while addicted to distraction. You cannot build it if you fear judgment. Legacy demands ruthlessness. You must cut what softens you. You must detach from approval. You must endure being misunderstood, even hated, because men who shaped history were rarely liked, but they were always remembered. 6. Legacy in action. Picture two men. One lives for comfort, pleasures, distractions, applause. He dies and within months he is forgotten. The other sacrifices comfort, sharpens himself, builds daily, leaves scars on stone. He dies, but his name lingers, his story spreads, his shadow inspires. Which man do you want to be? This is your 9th oath. My name will echo. Write it as prophecy, repeat it as command, because the man who lives for comfort is erased, but the man who lives for legacy becomes eternal. This is the last law, the final cut, the end of weakness, and the birth of your final form. If you have followed this path, you are no longer the same man. You have killed the weaker self. You have guarded your focus, ruled your storms, enforced discipline, broken chains, mastered time, wielded silence, commanded fear and respect, and built for legacy. But now you must seal it. Now you must become untouchable. 1. Death of the old self. Transformation does not begin with addition. It begins with destruction. The self that begged for approval, the self that drowned in distractions, the self that hesitated, trembled, apologized before speaking. That self must die completely. Machiavelli wrote that when a prince takes new power, he must destroy the old order so completely that it can never return. Apply this to yourself. Burn the bridges. Leave no safety net. Do not allow the old version of you to crawl back when life grows hard. You are not negotiating with him. You are executing him. This is your 10th oath. The weak me is dead. Say it like a sentence. Say it like an execution. Say it as if you are burying him tonight. 2. The fortress mind. With the old self buried, the new self rises, piece by piece, rule by rule. You become a fortress. Inside this fortress, your focus is protected. Your discipline is enforced. Your patience sharpens timing. Your silence shields your plans. Your detachment frees you from chains. Your aura commands fear and respect. Your every act lays another stone in your legacy. The fortress mind is unshakable. No insult breaks it. No rejection weakens it. No loss destroys it. It stands. And because it stands, so do you. 3. Predator, not prey. Weak men are prey. They chase, they beg, they react, they hope to be chosen. But the untouchable man is predator. He waits, he calculates, he chooses. And when he strikes, he does not strike twice. This is how you must now think. Not chasing approval, not waiting for validation, but walking with the silent gravity of a man who already knows he has won. 4. Ownership of fate. Most men surrender their lives to fate. They blame luck. They curse destiny. They wait for fortune to hand them scraps. But not you. You own your fate. Half of life may be fortune, as Machiavelli wrote, but the other half belongs to those who seize it. You do not hope. You do not beg. You prepare. You act. You strike. You take what is yours. Because legends do not wait for permission. They impose themselves on the world. 5. Untouchable identity. The final state is not invincibility. It is untouchability. Not because the world cannot touch you externally, but because nothing breaks you internally. Insults do not reach you. Betrayal does not shatter you. Loss does not cripple you. You feel everything, but you are mastered by nothing. You belong to no one, and that makes you unforgettable. The untouchable man is feared by his enemies, respected by his allies, and impossible to move. He is not just a man, he is a force. 6. The oath of transformation. This is the last command, not a whisper, not a wish, an oath. Say it and write it. I am untouchable. Say it like prophecy. Say it like destiny. Say it until it feels like iron in your blood, because once you declare it, you are no longer who you were. You are who you must be. 7. Closing command. If you felt this fire in your chest, if you are ready to bury the weak and crown the ruthless, then act now. Like this video as a mark of your transformation. Subscribe for more weapons of power, psychology, and strategy. Turn on notifications, because every law that follows will be another blade in your arsenal. Do not hesitate, do not delay. Hesitation belongs to the weak, action belongs to the strong. This is the end of the rules, but it is the beginning of you. You are not just another man. You are untouchable.